Well, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king, a proud partner in the Bar Cart Co-op. And tonight we have a very special guest, one we were trying to have on before, but Mother Nature screwed us over. But it's not happening tonight. We have Will Pearson on from Olde Tyme Spirits. Will, thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate you taking some time out of your life right now to spend with us and sip some drinks this evening.
Thank you for having me. Glad to join you this time.
Cheers. Before we go any further, Mike, what do we usually tell the people at this point? I was going to put up the graphic, but it covers you guys' face.
I got it memorized.
Don't
forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out. Interact in the chat, especially if you're watching us live on Monday nights, just like tonight. Or leave us a comment down below. Or leave a comment on Facebook.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in the chat. We really appreciate you doing that. What are you guys having? And a better question is, what are we having right now? What do each of you guys have in your glass at the moment?
Me a big-ass mojito.
We did talk about making it. What, Will, is that the same what you got going right now?
I've got a little bit of mojito, but I heard you say you got the nectarine out, so I figured I'd join you too.
I do right now. I didn't make the mojito. My son was helping, and he threw the mint in the garbage with the raw chicken, so I decided that was probably not the greatest thing to go. I see how the look, Mike. It wasn't like the Seinfeld Costanza episode where you could go in and just take it off the top. It was ruined.
Well, I was just saying we were calling you chicken for not making a mojito, and now it's kind of.
It is. Yeah, that was. Yeah. I didn't even want to go there, but yeah. But well, like we said, thanks for being on. What made you want to what was one of the first drinks or spirits that kind of turned you on to wanting to? Sounds bad because I always say this, but wanting to drink in general, like. What was a whiskey or a vodka or something like the first one that you had that clicked and it was like, holy crap! I actually kind of enjoy this.
It was never an option. I grew up drinking as a kid. Apple pie was like the mainstay throughout. I tell people, not to brag or anything. But by age 13, I was a confirmed alcoholic because they figured out very early I could outdrink most men. My stepdad would throw $100 bill on the table and say, anybody who would like to try to drink this kid under the table, throw $100. And he would win every single time. And at about age 13, I kind of had enough and I took a break. I never touched it. Until I was 25. I remember on my 25th birthday, I said, what am I doing with my life? I'm Irish. Alcohol is part of my blood. And so I said, but this time instead of just drinking rock gut, I'm going to learn how to drink nice drinks. And so then I would start drinking all the cocktails I could find. I'd learn how to make cocktails. So if somebody didn't know how to make a cocktail, I could tell them exactly all the ingredients that they needed to make the cocktail that I wanted. And yeah, that.
Hold on here.
Oh.
Froze Patrick there. Okay.
No, I just was trying to make it catch up for a second.
Will froze on us.
There we go.
It's okay. He'll come around in a second.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. And
I hope he cashed in on his grandfather's business there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Pat, you want to flash the recipe
That's
up?
just what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
I was like, in this split second time we have right now, let's bring this up. This is exactly what Ben and Mike are drinking. And
I'm digging it.
Pretty darn tasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's got trouble written all over it.
It does. Okay. We'll be back in a second. So I'm like I said, I don't have it, so I'm just dipping into the nectarine that's in there. How is this different from some of the standard mojitos that you guys typically have? Is the flavor dramatically different with that?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's
No,
okay.
no worries, no worries.
We were just talking about your mojito
Yeah.
Okay.
while you were off. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily drastically different, but what that nectarine rakia does to the mojito, there's just a really nice fruit layer to it and a sweetness that it plays very well with that lime, and it's extremely tasty. And someone's not going to have a problem sleeping tonight.
I guess that gives like a fruit richness to it that I could see would be a different little undertone to it. Just going off the nose on this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that kind of a fruit layer to it. Kind of strikes a nice balance with the lime and the mint, and it doesn't take it quite as sweet as what rum does, which is actually kind of nice in a way to me. So
I'd say it's more refreshing, probably by
Right.
nature of just the nectarine.
Yeah, I'd love to be sitting out all summer sipping on this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So how much money did you get kicked back from your stepfather's gambling on that?
Yeah.
None.
Gambling.
It was it was he said it kept the food on the table. So
So okay, I'll go ahead. Go and finish.
Nope, you were asking a question.
So you with that, you starting with that age, you have your Irish heritage, but that you'd mentioned the apple pie, that was the staple. Can you talk about the apple pie and the history of it?
My grandpa made it. It's as a young kid, my grandfather made it, or it was produced. No one said he made it. I know now, but it was just part of everyday life. I mean, when you grow up in alcohol, it's it's like watching TV. You just grow up with the TV. That's it's just commonplace. You don't ask where it comes from. It's just one day, Grandpa went away, and so did the apple pie, and that along with a lot of other alcohols. Growing up, I knew a lot of mason jars before I knew any bottles of booze. But then I'm trying to think of some of the Seagram 7. I'm trying to remember a lot of the big jar bottles we'd have at the kitchen table. But it was just a gradual. Mason jar went away, bottle of booze came on the table instead, and then it became a commonplace all through growing up. We all drank, and it wasn't abnormal. I mean, all our neighbors. You grow up in the woods, that's a pastime. To drink.
Right.
I grew up in the backwoods of Idaho, in the Bitterroot Range next to the Rockies. Back as far as, in the early 80s, they were putting power lines in where we were at. That's how far back we were. I remember it because my uncle at the time got electricity. He flicked on the light, flicked it off, and it never went on for a very long time because we were so used to lamps. It's like I say, long time ago, starting to fade back because it's yesteryears now.
Yeah. So at what point can you, when you got your own personal bug for starting to make your own?
When? 2013, 2014, My dad just had a house fire. He was staying with my next older brother, and we were all kind of down, hanging out, being family. And my next older brother went into his garage and again came out with a mason jar. As soon as I saw it, I go, oh, and this is how instinctive it is. It's grandpa's stuff. And he just smiled. And I was like, how do you keep something like that for so long? And he goes, who says I've kept it? I make it. He goes, I've got a recipe book. And I go, oh, and he's like, yeah, that's how come I can make it. He attests he still has grandpa's still. It's in the Cascades. And he goes, I know he goes over twice a year. He makes his stuff, comes back home and sells it around, takes it to a lot of parties. And so we cracked it open. We started drinking it. Sorry, I digress a little bit all the time.
No, I'm enjoying this.
Yep.
Yep.
It was, we cracked it. We were sharing it, and it's as I remember it. And I go, this is good. I go, my wife has to try it out. I go, she'll like it. And so I got my wife out. She tried it. And she's like, this is really, really good. And I go, yeah, this is family recipe. This is what we always have. Because I didn't know how big it was. We were the only people that ever made it. We were the only people that had apple pie. And so we sat, drank it, bought a couple of bottles from my jars from my brother and some of his shine, and I came home. We were doing some stuff, and my wife goes, you've got the same genetic code as your brother does. If he can make it, you can make it. You know that? And I go, yeah, that's okay. That's his thing. It's not my thing. I hadn't really got the bug yet. I go,
your wife had the bug.
He was tuning in really quick. And she goes, and I go, besides, I can just buy it from my brother. Well, slowly he started raising the price on me. Instead of $5-10 a jar, it became like $20-25 a jar. And I'm like, this is getting expensive. This is an expensive habit for us to have here. And finally, my wife said it again. And I go, yeah, I think I can. I go, I bet you I can do the same stuff. And she goes, I don't buy you very many birthday presents. This year for your birthday, you go buy the still you want, and that's my birthday present for you. No questions asked. So I was just finishing up engineering school, and I started doing a lot of research and everything. And I said, okay, this is the still I want. Got it special ordered in through a brew house here, brew supply place. And paid cash for it and everything, took it home, started playing with it. First stuff, trying to remember how certain things were. And I came off with about 99% alcohol off a pot still. And I thought I was doing really good. This is real alcohol at this point in time. Had a whiskey person that knew his whiskeys really well, knew how smooth they were. I was so proud. I put this small mason jar up and I go, give this a taste. Tell me what you think, please. Because at that kind of time, my mind was kind of lost. Alcohol was alcohol. I was reverting back to a kid of, just make alcohol. It's going to all taste the same anyways. And I remember him taking a sip of it. He got this really scrunched up nose and everything. And he goes, wow. He goes, I have to honestly say, if I were to drink a rubbing alcohol, this is the best rubbing alcohol I've ever tasted. It's too strong, but it tastes good. And so I then made it into apple pie, started taking it around to friends' house, setting it down. And one friend, he's now a really good friend. He just moved out here from Kentucky. I brought it and he looked at it and he goes, this isn't supposed to be out here. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, this is only back in the Appalachians. This is where I come from. And I go, oh no, this has been out here a long time. He and I are about the same age. I go, I remember this stuff coming out here, growing up with this stuff. And he's like, no way. he cracked it open and took a sip of it. He goes, wow. He goes, this is authentic. He goes, this is real stuff. And I go, I hope so. It's made. And that means we started going off together and talking and everything. And it just, and at the end of the day, he goes, did you make this? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you need to make it. This you need to market because it's good stuff. And I said, nah, I'm not that good yet. And so that kind of led on for the first couple of years. I would make it a gallon or two a year, make it into apple pie. Some I'd make straight into shine, and I'd pass it out to friends, and they'd all tell me, hey, you've got something here. You got something. Keep it going. And I kept saying, no, you just like my shine too much. You like what I make. You're boosting my ego, and kept going. One of my friends kept badgering me, and finally I just said, kind of, okay, you want me to start a distillery? Let's start the distillery. So we got the business license, and I just plunked around. The TTB made some law changes that helped urge me that way, so I could still make a little bit of alcohol and not get into production mode quite yet. But the bug didn't hit me until I went to Ireland. Took my girls to Ireland to kind of show them this is where we come from. This is history for us. We landed right in the heart of Ireland, right in the heart of whiskey country, where whiskey was born. And started learning about it. I brought a sample for our host family, sat it down. I can't remember what was happening, but they basically closed everything down. If you wanted to drink, you could go to the pub, have one beer, but then you'd have to go home. And so he invited neighbors around, and that because we were out in the country at this time. And I set my bottle down. He had several other Bushmills, Paddy's, one other brand of Irish whiskey, and we started drinking. And my bottle just sat there for a while. And I go, well, why aren't we cracking that bottle? And they're like, well, it's just a no name. And I go, yeah, I made it. That's my alcohol. And Sylvie, the old guy, he goes, you made that alcohol right there. And I go, yes, I made it. It's specifically for you, my guest, my host, saying thank you. And he's like, well, let's crack it open and start drinking it. Well, at that point in time, that was the only bottle drank that was first empty. And he's an old historian. He drank it and he goes, this needs to come back to Ireland. This has not been in Ireland for a really long time. He goes, this is truly Irish. From the old days. And I go, oh, and he's like, yeah, this is real alcohol. You know how to do it. And I go, no. And he's like, no, this is how the Irish used to make whiskey. And I went, okay. And at that point in time, something clicked. And I said, okay, maybe all these people are saying something. So we came back home, got with my business partner, and I go, you've been egging me on to start this. I go, I'm ready to start. Are you willing to go with me? I go, we're going to go fast. It's I'm no longer putzing around. We're going to be full production. We're going to go. This year it's going to be small. Next year it's going to grow. And every year we're going to just grow bigger. And he's like, yeah, let's go. I go, it's going to be an investment. I go, you said you're my investment person. You got to invest. I go, if we stop momentum, it's going to die. I go, this is just how this is going to work. Oh no, I'm on board. I'm on board. We went about 9 months, and I had to sit him down and basically said, what's going on? I'm in full production mode here, and you're not doing anything. You're not supporting me anymore. I'm not only the person making and distilling, but I'm also putting all my money into this to keep this growing. What's going on? And he goes, well, it's financially hard for me to do this right now. I can't really do this. But keep on going. And I go, I'm not made out of money. I have a certain limit. I go, this is where you need to come in at. And he kept saying, no. And so that point in time, production actually stopped because I said I have to reorganize, redo everything. Had to kick him out, force his hand out, and that restructure everything. Sold some of my dad's assets off, and that to get it back up and running. Just got through the last season, which that's what we're enjoying tonight, is last year's production, and it was kind of a COVID kind of kicked me in the butt a little bit. It's kind of been a slow start, but really quickly this year, I had a hard time getting going, and next thing I knew, it was early June. I had 4,000 pounds of apricots sitting outside out here. Pictures are going to go up soon because the apricot's getting ready to be bottled and ready for sale. And it was sitting out here, and then it was people called me for cherries. So I got I actually sent out saying, hey, I'm looking for a bit of cherries. Alan Bishop, he kept asking me about, hey, can you do cherries? Can you do Kirschwasser? And I said, yeah, but cherries are expensive. I need, I'm in cherry capital, but man, you know how expensive they are? It's expensive for me. And so somebody says, hey, I know this old farmer. He has an old cherry orchard. We can get permission so you can go and pick all the cherries. So we picked about 50 pounds. Actually, we picked about 25 because they were way overgrown. We had to climb into trees. And that went in to a local farm supply store. I was looking for cherry pitters. And this old German guy comes up and goes, if you're going to buy one of those, buy two of them because the first one's going to break on you if you got a cherry tree. And I go, I don't have a cherry tree. I'm just picking cherries. And he goes, oh, you don't have a cherry tree and you're getting, and I go, yeah, I make alcohol. And he goes, do you want more cherries? And I go, of course, I don't refuse free fruit. I go, that's what I make alcohol from. And so he invited us to his house. Huge tree, had all the ladders and everything. He's like, pick as many cherries as you want. And so we picked about 160 pounds of cherries off of his one tree the first time.
Wow.
Made it into some Kirschwasser. And pretty soon he calls up again. Hey, there's still cherries on the tree. You got about 2 days to get as many more as you want. It's all yours. Just come and just clean the tree out. So we went, cleaned that tree out. Another client that I got apricots from had cherry trees, so we could pick her cherries. And we ended up with about another 400 pounds of cherries.
Holy shit.
Wow.
And so I've got cherries here getting ready to get distilled out. And then it was from there, peaches came right on. And so farmer, an orchardist that I know, he made me a really good deal on peaches. And then it was nectarines. And now we've just gotten plums, trying to make room so I can get more pears in before pears all go away. And that's been this year. It's a phenomenal year for me. Production-wise, I should have about at least twice as much product as I had last year. Apricots, way more. I'm hoping to barrel some of the apricot. Instead of going a rakia, I'm going to actually age it to an apricot brandy. That's kind of where we're currently at. And I'm projecting out to get a couple of bins of apples here pretty quick too, because apple season is starting. And so I'll be making apples. And then, like I said, I'll go into my grains during the winter months just to keep the building warm.
we do have a question from the chat.
Yes.
Mitch was wondering, he heard that cherry would mess with the chemistry in the still. Sometimes it causes the still to discolor. Did you run into this problem?
I have not yet. I have not. We've ran it. I keep the inside of the copper fairly clean, so it doesn't oxidize a whole lot in there. And that through the head, the pot head of it, and so Haven't noticed. Right now we're running apricot. After we did the first batch of cherry, and it really apricot smells really good, tastes really good this year. So I'm really happy with that. So yeah, I haven't found a problem with cherry.
Very good.
So in your starting off with making your spirits, there's a story that you have about finding the big secret book. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So as I
1 second, I'm gonna put up the banner of the drink because Christy wanted to see how to make it. So we can keep talking and going. I'm just gonna leave this up for a couple seconds and take it down so she gets a chance to see what she's doing.
Yep. So I alluded earlier that my brother said he had Grandpa's recipe book, and that during my dad's house fire, some stuff was saved, some stuff wasn't. He was an antique collector, and so the stuff that was saved, he was dispersing out to us boys, and we grabbed a bunch of stuff. He gave us a bunch of books and everything. We brought them back here to the house, to the mountain, and we were just kind of sorting through them. And again, I've been kind of going just off of guts. Honestly, I didn't have any rhyme or reason why I did it. It just felt good to me to distill this way, doing it this way. And we were going through these books, and I come across this leather-bound book, black leather-bound book, and I go, this is odd. No marking on it, nothing. Open it up a little bit. It's all handwritten in there with little sheets of paper here and there. And I go, oh, is this what I think it is? Because I get a pit in my stomach and everything. And I flip through it, and it's actually, there's recipes. It's a journal. It's got all kinds of stuff. And pretty quick, I just closed it. My wife was really close to me, and I go, my brother just thinks he has Grandpa's book. I go, I've got Grandpa's book right here. I go, I know it without a doubt. And that he doesn't know. If he's watching, he might know now. He might give me a call, but
too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so I have it. I read it. I've read it probably 20, 30 times because it's really one of those it's got a lot of information in it that you can't digest it all. You can understand and that, but it's just not there, because I can read the same thing, come back 2-3 times later, and all of a sudden the question I might have pops out right from me, and I know I've read it and I've seen it. I'm getting now to, okay, I have this question on this. I should be looking in this section of my grandpa's book, and that to see exactly what's going on with this process or that process of it. And that, because it's years and years. It's at this point in time, it might have been in my grandfather's handwriting, but I think it's every generation's compilation of product, of making what's being made, and picking up other people's recipes. And that, because I usually say there's really nothing out there I can't make. I have a recipe for almost any alcoholic beverage that is known. And that's why I can make plum, nectarine, and a lot of the things I come off with, it was somebody will say, you can't make this. You can't do this. And I'll say, yes, I can. Once you understand the process, it's easy to do. And that's how apricot came around. That's how nectarine came around. Cherry kind of came around that way. I know Alan said, hey, can you make first washer? But somebody says, oh, you can't make cherry. It's really hard to do a cherry. I've made it. But yeah, that's kind of the story around the book is, Yeah, we got it. I keep it. I've actually taken a picture of it. Somebody says, hey, you should at least put it up on your website, what this mysterious book looks like. It looks like a black leather-bound book. I mean, that's but it's so I've got a picture of it. It'll eventually go up on my website. So
Have you thought about digitizing it just in case?
No, I've actually got a new book that I'm going to hopefully, in my old years, instead of writing memoirs, I'll write everything in my own handwriting to pass it down.
That's just what I was going to ask, if you were going to redo it or kind of
Yes.
add to the end of the book with some things you found. That's outstanding. Sorry.
Yeah.
Those are the best parts when you find stuff.
Yeah, no, there's stuff I'm going to rewrite because a lot of stuff is very old. I mean, things we don't in the distillery world don't really have anymore. And it's like, oh, okay, I have to fabricate this if I want to make this because it's not really there anymore. And so here's a modern day version. Here's what you can do modernly if you got it. But I'm going to, and how I'm going to do it, because I'm formulating it first on the laptop here, is I'm taking old stuff, modernizing it so I can present them both. Here's what the old way was. Here's modern way of doing it, so they can see a progression. And that, but I'm not big on digitization. I'm not a big computer person. I live up in the mountains, pretty rudimentary as much as we can, just because that's how I grew up. That's the mentality I have. So
I like having a book in my hands. It's a million times better myself as far as reading.
Yes.
So
yes, that's the only way I can read. I can't read off the computer.
Yeah, I can, but I don't remember stuff as well doing it that way. If I read a book, it's in there, and I'm not concerned. So, no.
Yeah.
Mitch had a couple other questions, and I think we were going to get to him anyways, but I know he's probably on lunch at work at Heaven Hill, so we're gonna pull one of them out. He was wondering, how do you prep your fruit? Do you peel it? Do you chop it? Blend it? How do you prep it for the process to make it easier to handle?
Honestly, we get the fruit, depending on the fruit, everything is done by hand. We're that small. It's we crush all the fruit except the cherries. I found we started pitting, but then we just decided to throw the pits, everything in. But we crush, we blend, and then we just let it ferment. A lot of times before we can even get our yeasts in, and that the natural yeasts are so active and going, and that because it's not a single day process most of the time. It usually takes us a couple of days to process all whatever fruit we're processing through. Apricots, I got my whole family plus friends of the family for about a whole week to process 4,700 pounds of apricots. And that's a lot of apricots. I'll honestly tell you.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
We got more than what we'd anticipated. But it took us well over a week to get all the pits out of them, get them ready. We wash them. We usually wash them and start pitting them and getting them right into the fermentation as quickly as we can. So at the end, we can add our water, add our yeast, and let it go. And that if it's actually dark out here now, even though that looks fairly light. I could take you outside. We still have vats of apricots outside, still waiting for me to process through because our big boy is down. And that, but yeah, that's all our process.
Okay, that answered the question I had to follow up. That was your fermentation process. Were you allowing natural, were you allowing it to naturally ferment, or were you pitching yeast on it? So I think you pretty much.
I use both.
So,
I like capturing the natural yeast, but I give it a yeast boost also. The last cherries, the natural yeast was so great that it exploded the fermenter. I had it flowing out over the side and everything, and I went, "Wow, I haven't had that one happen yet."
Right.
And that's one of the things you play with when you do it.
I think that's amazing that you're getting that much activity out of the local yeast. That's fantastic. A lot of times it's
There's
just
a lot on that fruit.
yeah. That's really neat.
A lot of the orchards I go to, they don't spray. They try to keep it as plain as possible.
Okay.
And they're all very close to me. Well, where I live, within an hour are all the orchards I pull from. And so all our yeast should be fairly similar in our area.
That happened. I know there's a couple places that
Right.
might have happened at.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the big boys down. So how many stills do you guys have at your place? And wait, we totally skipped something I think is totally cool. How far away is your distillery from your house?
All the washout. With that?
Sorry, I lagged
What's
for
that?
a second there. I was talking about how far away do you have to go to get to the distillery to do your work? Because I find this point absolutely amazing, and more people should do this.
45 feet from the corner of my house to the corner of the distillery. Now to get up here, a few more steps, but yeah, it's really close. As I say, I'd like to go out and come to work in my pajamas if I want to. So they do it in all the office spaces nowadays. Why can't I as a distiller?
Yeah.
All right, now we get back to the other one. I was talking about the stills, and then you had Big Boy. How many stills do you guys have running up there?
On average, we have 2 stills. We have our stripping still, and then we have our finishing still. And so we'll, when we're in mass production, we'll strip everything at least the first time. And then we'll start the production through the finishing still twice more. So we run everything 3 times through.
Okay. Very cool.
So do you mind breaking down your stills for us? Like what are the size and how are they set up that you're running? You are doing pot stills, correct?
The boy, yes. The one I labeled Big Boy, he is 25 gallons.
Okay.
The one, the finishing still, or Mrs. P, she's an 8-gallon.
Okay.
And so I was hoping this year to get I'm hoping to get up to about a 50 or 100 gallon still to add in, so we can strip, we can run the second time and go straight into finishing almost unanimously. But I'm trying to size it right now. So everything should come out the way it is, because I'm noticing this year I did a few modifications, and my finishing still is capturing a lot more alcohol than normal, than I've been used to, and I'm just flabbergasted by the amount of alcohol I'm now capturing. I'm going, man, how much was I losing over there? Because instead of a few hour run, I think today we were running her, and she ran for almost 5 hours. And that pulling off, I mean, we got, or I'm doing something really good this year. I don't know, because we, again, she's 8 gallons, and we pulled 5 gallons out of her. This was the second. This would have been the second run. Yeah, today was second run, and we pulled 5 gallons out of 8 gallons. And so when we do the third run, we should only have the same amount. Oh, I don't know if I think I might be going here. Oh, okay. It's you
Patrick
guys
jumped out. So
sorry.
Yeah.
You're good. So I'm
Okay.
just 8 gallons still. everything I've tasted of yours so far, the cuts you're making and you're getting off of an 8-gallon, you're doing an awesome job on that. Just seriously.
Thank you.
That's not an easy chore or an easy thing to do for a lot of people who may not have experience or may not realize that small stills like that, getting a good clean cut off of it's not an easy task, but especially running fruit like you're doing. So fantastic job.
5 gallons from 8. I know. I don't know. I can't explain it this year. I don't know if I'm catching everything at the prime time. Because I ferment for at least a month. All my product, I'll set it in and I'll let it ferment for 4 weeks, maybe a little longer, depending on what the weather is outside. Like right now, it's nice and cool.
What kind of condenser are you running off of that? Is it a shotgun or a Liebig or what?
It's Liebig.
Okay.
Yeah. And that I've neighbors up the road. They have a shotgun. Seems more like a flute or
right.
The cylinder type. Not kind of really. I'm actually wanting to get to the next one and I'm being particular on the stills I'm buying. I'm actually going to go to the worm type. So it comes out, goes down through the coil and comes out. Again, I think I'm trying to regress as everybody's trying to move forward. I'm trying to go backwards. To get it as close as possible. I just found a whole huge website on old, well, they're not old, but family stills back in Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, the whole Baltic areas. They still do it very regularly, and a lot of their stills that they're doing at their homes look very much like our George Washington still. You know how it's all built up, and I said, this is my, when I get to that level, then I'll be able to show it off and say, see look how cool this is. What I got right now, it's just functional. It's more about the functionality, of it getting me the quality I'm looking for. To me, it's about the quality. It's not about how much I can produce. I'm really after it should taste good. I've never had somebody, take a drink of bad alcohol and say, man, I'm going to continue drinking it. But if you have good alcohol, I continually want to go after this because it has what I'm desiring every single time.
So, all right. Speaking of people wanting to go after your alcohol, there's a uniqueness about your distribution that I'd like for you to talk about, and also about how people can actually get your whiskey.
I am direct to consumer. I spent a lot of me building just before I got my license. This is how my grandfather did his business. I'm modeling my whole business off of my grandfather. So I'm direct to consumer. I don't go through a distributor or anything like that. I want to personally know who's buying my alcohol because I want them to know who I am as an individual. And I want them, if they happen to get a bad bottle, I want them to feel free to be able to call me up and say, hey, Will, this is a bad bottle of alcohol. I want to make it right by him. I mean, that's what my grandfather, he built. What I can tell you is that was my grandfather's occupation from Prohibition all the way until his fiery doom of death in the 70s. And that is, no one ever told what he did, but he had lots of money. The family was never really hurting for money. He always drove really nice cars. My dad, he bought my dad his first car, everything. And so it was a living for him. And but no one, until I started doing this, it never struck to me that, this is what Grandpa did. He was a bootlegger. He made booze and sold it. So that was a good business model. So it's take the same business model and repeat it. just continue repeating it. I don't get mega sales, but from this, I can honestly say, as of today, I'm now in two chain restaurants locally, and I haven't had a distributor to do it. It was literally today I got my second order of, hey, how soon can we get some bottles of your alcohol in our bars here? It is just by a grassroots of, hey, let me come to your house. If you're local, let me come to your house. You sit, you taste my alcohol. If you like it, you can buy it. If not, no hard feelings. We just had a drink together. That's kind of what we're doing here now.
Yeah.
And that, during COVID, I would ship out some bottles, and a lot of, early on, I did a lot of Zoom meetings. Let's set up on Zoom. Let's, I'm shipping you a sample. If you like what you like, you're going to tell me what you like. We'll get you out the bottles. Go onto the website, pay for it. Be explicit if you're buying a rakia. Before it was just Schlivo, and I said either say Schlivo, rakia, what kind of rakia you want. Get a hold of me. I'll let you know what I have available. And I want to get you what you want out. And it's still, I'm constantly getting text messages from people. Hey, do you have this in stock right now? Yes. Okay. I'm going to go online and order it. Or, hey, what do you have coming up? This is what's coming up. And get it out to you. And so it's, to me, it's a personalized service.
Yeah.
It completes that connection that I think a lot of people feel like they lost in the distillation process as things progress to what it is today. You know what I mean? You don't know it. Everyone wants to say they know their grain to glass and homegrown and everything's right here in this little area, but very rarely do you actually get to meet the people doing it. Does everyone really have that tight knit connection that a lot of things claim to be? So I really appreciate what you're doing. I love that interpersonal level that you're creating with people, and it's phenomenal that everyone out there right now could just go hop online and go taste what we're having. The apple pie is fantastic. It's going to get me in trouble again this evening. I poured a little sample, and there's some left, and guess what? I'm going back again right now. It is incredibly dangerous and really lovely.
Yes.
It's perfect for fall. And guess what? It's fall in Wisconsin right now. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
Well, it's technically fall. But have you ever done the apple pie at a higher proof just to see what it's like?
So with my version of apple pie, and if you actually grab the jar, I had to put bottled at alcohol by volume 35%. Because if you actually let it sit, it gets stronger. The stuff, I think you have some of it. It sits. It is as strong right now as my barrel-aged apple, barrel-proof apple. I can drink that, and I get snockered way quicker than I can drink my barrel-proof apple right now. and both are good. It's just, it's truly, if you can let it sit and just mellow, it grows. People didn't like seeing the mother in it, but when I used unpasteurized apple juice, and that the sugars just start collecting in there, and it just keeps growing. You get a nice big, if you're a kombucha type person, a Scooby in the bottom of it. I think it's what it's called. It starts growing something on the bottom of it, and it's totally consumable, but it's concentrating, and it's just growing. And and it's, like I say, since I brought that out, it has been the biggest seller I've had. So that I'm happy about.
Yeah.
And so the sugar keeps going. So I was gonna say, if it's not done, it's gonna keep working its way through. So that's it.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a lot of natural sugars in the apple juice.
Yeah. So I'm a little curious, going back to your granddad's book and just everything that you figured out. Just how many do you know exactly, like a number? How many different recipes he had worked out?
No, I haven't
No.
counted them all yet.
Yeah.
So here's what I can tell you, and this will be added, is before my grandfather died, he was going to make milk whiskey. He found out the Mongols could ferment milk.
Right.
And his whole philosophy, if you can ferment it, you can distill it. And so he never got around. I've taken it. I know how to do it. I will have a sampling of it at some point in time. I don't know what it's going to taste like.
Okay.
I want in.
I'm completely
really
intrigued.
I looked it up and I said, "Yep, it is." So, yeah, and it's just so I can say, "Grandpa, here it is for you."
Right.
This is, what I want to, my homage to him, to say we're keeping it going as a family line.
Right. Did he do any kind of bourbon or single malt or anything like that? Work out any recipes for those, or
I've got a true 100% corn bourbon.
Okay.
It was Grandpa. We can do a wheat whiskey. We can do a barley whiskey. I know how to do a straight barley, unmalted barley whiskey. It's coming out. I've got barley over here. If they're standalones, that's what he did. He didn't, for whatever reason, he never liked mixing things together, saying, "Hey, you take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that, and make it." It was, just make it. And I don't know, I never got to sit and talk to my grandfather about that. Why only singular instead of, blending stuff.
Right.
That was going to be one of my questions coming up, so I'm glad you hit that, because I'm like, do you ever get excited and be like, let's throw a little cherry in with this apricot run just to see what happens? Did you ever get mad scientisty with stuff?
I'm starting to. I'm wanting to get. I want to start looking out again, because I don't have a lot of people to draw on that has knowledge. I try to pick Alan's brain as much as I can. He's a busy man, and that. But he was in one of our conversations. He was talking about Geisting alcohol, and so I've got some unique berries that are only found in Europe. They grow some here, but they're very prevalent in Europe. And I happen to have a freezer full of these, not enough to make anything big, but if I geist it over, then that flavor should carry over into an alcohol. And so I'm hoping to do that this year, is get a couple of these other fruits and do it. And of course, we live in huckleberry country. I've got huckleberries that I'm trying to figure out how to deal with, because if I say cherries were expensive, huckleberries are.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Right.
Almost impossible. So, but I have some, not enough to do anything with. So I'm hoping to geist it through and move the flavors across, and see how that works. So that's kind of my mad scientisty stuff I'm working on.
Nice. I like those. Those are two both really neat trips. I like that. So what are some releases you have coming up later this year? What are the ones you're excited about coming up later this year?
Well, they're all limited, but coming off this week is apricot. Like I said, I'm excited for that. So that'll be coming out limited, because it's as much fruit as I can. And like I said, I'm gonna bottle some brandy up, and age it. And then from there, I don't have labeling or anything for my cherry, so it's going to sit on a shelf for a little while until I can get labeling up for it and get it approved. and then that will be a limited release. And then I think next is coming off. Peaches and nectarines will be coming off, and that not sorry, I have help up here, and that peaches, nectarine, then my Schlevo plums, and then this year we didn't have it last year. This year we have pears, and so pears is going to come out, and then we'll get, like I say, towards the end of the year, beginning of next year, we'll be coming off with apple and a lot of the grains that we would normally do. And it's not that I have warehouses full or anything like that. It's everything is done very small right now, limited, maybe 150 bottles per batch. That's going to be released, maybe a little bit more. And that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm scoped at right now, just to get in a little bit more clientele. And then, like I say, as the market can bear more, I'll start releasing more. With
some of the grain ones, are you planning on aging any of those, or? Because I know
yes.
some of the white dog can be kind of nice just straight off there as well too. But I was going to say, I didn't know are you planning on using 15-gallon barrels or 25 to age them? Okay.
We're doing so. I'm hoping to use a series called Solera.
Okay.
Aging, barrel Solera. Grandpa never aged anything, so I'm still learning a lot of that. And I've last year was me just testing out aging. How does aging work? I engineered an aging apparatus. It worked well, but when it went head to head with what I had put into barrels to age, the barrel beat it hands down. Where I said, okay, there's something naturally that's happening here that we can't reproduce anywhere, even though this is becoming a more popular thing to age in. And so I've this year I've went out, bought a series of barrels. Every quarter I'm going to buy a series of barrels, new barrels. Because of regulation, I have to use new barrels. I don't know at what stage I get to graduate and get used barrels and do things with, but I see everybody else is doing them. And so I'm just going to fill them up, and it's, one set of barrels is just going to be of one product. And then I'll cycle it through, Solera style, and hopefully by that time that all that works through, I can start mixing them where we have, hey, I've got apricot barrels here that had apricot brandy. Let's throw some of this corn bourbon in here, age it in here for a little while to see what kind of flavors we're getting that way. And so, yeah, it's as I can, I'm going to experiment within realms and keep moving. Most of my whiskeys will be aged. I've noticed more people like it with the tint of color. It goes down good as moonshine, but we're gonna age it, and I've got some stuff sitting out that in about 2 years it will be released, and that 3 years from now, and that so. Yeah, that will be the first barrel release, and it's just going to grow this year.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about that, but judging by what you're putting out right now, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of question about how good that's going to taste once that gets there, because it's all about what you make before that you put into it and what happens afterwards. But when you're putting something that's as good as what you're putting out here, I'm just going to be excited to see what the end result is. I'm pretty excited, Will.
Oh, thank you.
And that's not just the apple pie talking either. Oh, but
Yeah.
now I know it is about an hour, and we do try to keep our shows about that time frame, just because we don't know what else is all going on with you, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. Mike, Ben, do you guys have any questions for Will or anyone in the chat before we get going here? We'll give ourselves a minute or two.
I have a comment just for anyone. One, if you're trying to buy this stuff, it's very easy to buy. Ben has a unique distribution model. Take advantage of it. You can get this stuff.
Yeah.
This is not the same Slavovitz that you go to your liquor store and you buy the stuff that's for shooting. This is coming from a Croatian. This is not the same stuff that you're slamming back and having a really damn good time with your extended family. This is a very nice, very clean, very extremely drinkable Slevo that's not sugary sweet. So I encourage you guys to go out and get it. I will also add that today happens to be, speaking of Croatians, it is my sister's birthday. So have this little shot of Slevo that I'm having in her honor. So happy birthday to my sister Leslie. But please go to Olde Tyme Spirits. Look up the spirits. Buy the spirits. We bought it. I'm not disappointed. These guys, I think I'm fair to say, you two were very happily and pleasantly surprised.
The first time we did this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And again this evening. So it's
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much.
Well, you make it easy. You make it easy when it's really fan. It's really nice stuff. It's not hard to say great stuff about it or even think about it. It's just really enjoyable to drink everything that's here. Like I said, I think it's stuff a lot of people in the spirits community don't always dip into. Like it's a lot of vodka, a lot of gin, a lot of whiskey currently, and rum. But some of these just have such wonderful fruit flavors. It's just fun. Right. It's just a whole different experience than what a lot of people are expecting, and it's a really, I find it pleasant. I mean, I love fruit flavors in my whiskey and in other, especially in my scotch that come through. This is, if you're thinking of it that way, these are some just wonderful punches that would be like a base flavor in that, or that you're just hoping shines through in a scotch. I just love the punch you get out of them. So
and again, the size equipment you're running off of, and to make the cuts you're doing, and just the quality of spirit that's coming out through this, absolutely fantastic. So there's that. Let alone that it's just flat out good, regardless of what you like to drink. There's just a lot of flavor and a lot going on in these, so very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Apple pie for the holidays.
Yes.
That's why I've been nursing the shit out of this because I'm thinking of the cold weather. It's like I want to have this by the fire pit because it's going to disappear real fast.
So thank you very, very much, Will, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Mike, Ben, do you have anything else before we take off this evening?
I have a little announcement to throw out. I'm going to break some industry news here for you guys. So this probably the first you're going to hear it for those watching. Just keep an eye out. There's a place, a little winery there in Indiana on Patoka Lake that is going to be opening a distillery. And there's a certain distiller I've been in contact with. His name is Ben Riley, who's going to be heading up that production there. And this guy's going to be a big up-and-comer, doing some really cool stuff. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have more news for you as that begins to roll out. So more craft distilling coming out of Southern Indiana.
Nice.
Always fun to condense a trip in there. The more places, the more exciting it is. Yeah, at least I think so. It's nice to be able to stop at 2 or 3 places in maybe 3-4 hours rather than have it taken the whole day. So that's very cool. Very cool. But like we were saying, if you haven't done it already, hop on over to the website, check out Will's stuff, send him an email, find out what's in stock, and clear them out. because I'm sure it's not gonna make him happy for the holidays because he'll be missing all his booze, or at least your wife will be mad at us. But I'm sure it will look good on the bottom line. So get on over there and do that. So Will, thanks for being on. If you ever have stuff coming out in the future, that milk one, I'm sorry. Like I'm just, when you got into the whole Mongolian thing, like I was like, I so want to taste that, no matter how that comes out. That just sounds super intriguing. So as you have new stuff coming out, if you ever want to let everyone know, let us know. We would be more than happy to have you on again to let people know what's going on and what's coming out, because it is super enjoyable.
Next year we're coming out with a series of rum. We're doing a silver rum, a spiced rum, and then we'll be aging some for a dark rum. So that was what my wife was showing us. Hey, are you going to talk about the rum? Because that's kind of what we've been going, kind of thinking up and coming. What are we going to do? Because we don't want to be like everybody else. We're different that way. So
exactly. So, all right, everyone.
Thank you guys, again, thank you guys for allowing me to come on a second time, because the first time didn't work.
Hey,
it worked for us because we drank your spirits and we had a really good time.
But I wasn't able to share with you guys. Go on.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you had some important business to take care of.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. There was part of it we did discuss, like maybe he'll hop on at the hotel. Who knows?
Yeah.
But no, you guys did the right thing, and I'm happy your house and the distillery made it through, because this is something that everyone should be trying. So,
yeah, it's
I'm happy to cut you off.
No, I just said I'm happy also that we got to keep it. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's all over there. So remember, everyone out there, it's not the size of the den, it's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone out there.
Cheers.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more.